everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Chadish. I'm excited to bring you another fascinating conversation today. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends. In this episode, I am thrilled to host Mike Pearson, the brand director for North America at Christopher Ward, a company renowned for its Swiss-made timepieces that combine luxury and accessibility. Mike brings years of experience in the watch industry, having worked with top brands like Bremont and Zodiac. His passion for horology and deep understanding of the North American market make him an ideal leader to drive Christopher Ward's growth in the region. Today we will explore Christopher Ward's unique direct-to-consumer approach, their innovative designs like the 12 and Bel Canto, and how Mike envisions connecting with watch enthusiasts across North America. Let's get started. Mike, thank you so much for being with us. I know that you work with very big watch brands like Zodiac and Bremont. Can you just take us through your career journey prior joining Christopher Ward?
Sure, it's a long one. It's wonderful to be here, by the way. I've been in the watch industry for about 17 years now, believe it or not. Started in 2007 or 2006 now. I joined the watch industry for a very, very small company called Ernst Benz. That's where I learned all of my trade secrets. That's where you learn all the good and the bad, the ugly. And within a few years, I had no intention of ever leaving any position. But I met the brothers who own Bremont. We hit it off pretty well. And I think with my skill set and being an English guy living in America, it made sense trying to grow them. And that ended up being almost a decade of my life, which was absolutely the honor of my life at the time. I got a wife and two children, and there ended up being no room for Bremont and the family. I traveled in such a way that it was hard to find balance with both. And then obviously COVID happened as well. And in that particular moment, everybody's lives changed and mine did as well. And we ended up moving to the UK for a year and moved back a year later. And that's when I took over Zodiac as their global brand director. And that ended up being a different challenge and a different level of maybe a different level way of looking at the watch industry, because Bremont was young. It had a history that belonged to two brothers trying to leave a legacy for their father and loving old English cars, planes, boats and bikes. Zodiac was a historical brand, a very, very old name in the Swiss industry, the first dive watch, but it had kind of been left to ruin for many, many decades. And the team at Fossil were doing wonderful things to get it going. And I ended up being the voice to help it here. And it was wonderful. Again, had no intention of leaving, but when you see Mike France and you see the Christopher Ward team doing what they were doing, when you understand the type of people that they are, it was in the end a no-brainer in terms of joining them. And so I've been now with the brand for a year. It's been incredible. It's been exhilarating. It's been very different because, I'm not there looking for retailers, but that's 17 years in about 3 minutes. So crazy.
Actually, Mike, Christopher Ward has a different approach. You have a direct-to-consumer approach, and now you are running all the marketing and branding strategy for North America. How is this experience going so far? How are you kind of shaping your strategy?
It's been wonderful. It's been tiring. When I joined the brand, what I did see was that we'd had 19 years of pure trust from the watch industry. That's great because we sell, as you said, direct to consumer, always online. And you think 20 years ago, selling anything online was unheard of. But Mike and Peter and Chris Ward back in the day, they all believed that this was the right strategy to whatever it cost to build the watch, they would just increase that by 3, but then they would sell it direct to the customer, cut out the middle person and have a great product for the money. My mindset has always been go to the retailers, find the right partners to tell our story. And that was in the US and Canada and the Caribbean with all of the different ventures that I have in my career. But when I joined Christopher Ward, I told Mike that this had to be a community thing. We had to go to the core of who's believed in us since day one and also go to the places that's never really had a chance to hold the watch. So when you think about the furore and the absolute game changer that Bel Canto was for Christopher Ward, it ended up being online. I've heard a lot about it, but I've never held it. They've also then can delve into the website, into the forums and the old posts, and you would see Christopher Ward's from 5, 10, 15 years ago. And that is not the same brand, not of the same quality of what we build today, which is a very, very different entity. So I said, I'll hit the road. I'll make sure that everybody can touch, feel, understand the quality of the watches, and hopefully feel a little bit of trust towards an individual, which would hopefully be a conduit towards our growth over here. So it's been nuts. I've personally hosted over 40 different events in the US and Canada over this year. And as we come towards the end of the year, we're recording this in the second week of December. It has been an absolute privilege, and I've met thousands and thousands of people, and it seems to have worked. There's a wonderful amount of people who now understand the watch in a different way, and then the next part of the plan can kick into gear.
Also, Mike, like when Christopher Ward was founded back in 2004, you made a really good point. Direct to consumer approach. Maybe it wasn't popular as it was nowadays. So a unique model, elegant design, and kind of a brand that started as a micro brand and kind of became a global watch company now. And just want to kind of touch base on that story, like starting as a micro brand and just kind of like having this ambition and turning into a global giant. Like, how was this journey like, in your opinion?
Well, again, it's from the outside in, especially when you were working for, or and I was working for another British watch company, and there wasn't too many back then. So Bremont and Christopher Ward, and there was a few bubbling under the surface. Now the British watch industry is thriving, and the alliance is led by Christopher Ward and people as grand as Roger Smith. But if you looked back then, Mike and Peter really did not come from the watch industry. They knew retail, they knew how to build, they knew how to get fantastic people in the right places for supply chain. And once they had sold their previous company, they had money, they had capital, and they wanted to invest in something special. When they were allowed to peek behind the curtain of the Swiss watch industry, they realized they could do things different. And that's how the direct to consumer model came out. They knew how to sell online. They'd done it in their previous company. But if you fast forward of how social media, how blogs like yours, how different video departments can then you don't really have to hold the watch. You can tell the story in a virtual way. They really were ahead of the game. You fast forward to the global pandemic, which was awful, but at least Christopher Ward was set up to still do business online when people were not really prepared for it. And so we were able to grow at a time when people were really starting to trust buying online in a very different way. I mean, if you can trust buying everything online through a pandemic, in the end, those habits could then go into buying a luxury watch. But the trust had to be built up over the 15 odd years before that. And it's carried on today. We are asked all the time if we would go into traditional retail. As of right now, we just can't, because the prices of the watches to the quality is the secret sauce to why Christopher Ward has grown from, yes, a micro brand to a small brand. We are a big size brand now, and we are sold in most countries in the world because of the model, the Bel Canto. But because we are not sold traditionally, we're not in front of so many eyeballs. So a lot of people, no matter where I go, will have either A, never heard of us, or B, which is more often than not, never held us. And that's my job, to make sure people can see us.
Currently, Christopher Ward has a showroom in Texas, actually. Are you planning on some further expansion in US or in Canada? Do we expect some further showrooms here?
Absolutely, but it's got to work. This showroom, as of today, it's in its 11th week, and this is the only one in North America. We've had a lot of questions of why Texas. First reason, I live here, and I didn't want to move. And in all honesty, I didn't want to put, and neither did Michael Peter. We didn't want to put the showroom in New York or LA right away. Costs, understanding the markets, understanding our business model, where does it sit? Our first thought continues to hopefully work. But if we get the habits right in the center of the country, we can then grow out. And so you look at states adjacent, Georgia, Colorado, Arizona, Illinois, Ontario. I mean, you could look, but instead of going straight to the coasts, we grow gradually. But it's been really good. It's been a really exciting first 11 weeks. It's all appointment only. People would walk in, not walk in, they would make their appointment. They get an hour to themselves to try everything on. And then they buy the watch, but we still ship it. And so by coming to the Dallas showroom, they get that experience. They have a little bit more trust that they won't have that buyer's remorse. And so when they try that watch on, they give us the money. We ship the watch direct. And because they come to the showroom, we do pay those import duties. So there's a little bit of a savings there as well. So it's worth it. But yes, we will grow.
So far, which one is the top selling model in the showroom? Is it
That's
like
a
the
great
12 or is it the Bel Canto?
It's a great question. I feel like there's two ways. So I think there's Bel Canto and then there's Christopher Ward. The Bel Canto is a phenomenon, and so everybody wants to try it on. And yes, that's sold the most because it's probably the highest ticket. But the 12 continues to surprise. But what's quite interesting is it's the models that never get to be held that sell really, really well. The Aquitaine, the Dune, and Ministry of Defence collection models that you might not see, such as the Colchester, which is a forged carbon military style watch that was built for our paratroopers. So there's so much that the showroom can offer that's hard to see when you're flicking through the website. But every day's a surprise. It's never boring. We'd love to see as many of you guys there as possible.
Since we are approaching 2025, what are your plans? I know you were kind of on the road this year a lot. You also attended the Toronto Timepiece show. What are your plans for this coming year?
Well, Toronto Timepiece Show, by the way, was amazing. That was our first ever show in Canada. So we're going to be definitely doing shows in Toronto again. We'll also be going to Vancouver. And what I found this year was there was a lot of travel, and there was probably too much. But what I'll end up doing is more of the bigger shows, and any of the trips I go to in the cities, they will hopefully be longer trips instead of just in and out. So I feel like I've seen a lot of the watch groups. We'll definitely come back to some of them, but there are still a few that I've not visited. So next year will be a bit more targeted for the future successes with the shows, and hopefully where we can find our next showroom, be it in a pop-up style or somewhere permanent.
Mike, another question. What are your plans for partnerships? I know that Christopher Ward has some partnership in terms of like creating new designs, collaborating with soccer clubs as well. Do you have some further partnership plans for North America?
Not really. We're very, very diligent with how we spend our money marketing wise. So we don't really do it with ambassadors. We don't really do it with the partnerships away from who we have. We work with Everton Soccer Club in the Premier League. Mike's a big fan of the club, but also they do some incredible things in the Liverpool community. We work with an ocean conservation charity called Blue Marine Foundation, and we work with English Premier Rugby. And then the final one, we work with Team Brit, who are a wonderful race car team. They race against some of the best cars in the sport that they're in, but the drivers have all either lost limbs or they have the inability of using parts of their bodies, but the car has been retrofitted so they can race against anybody. All of these facets kind of hit with who we are as a brand. We're always looking to be sustainable. We're looking to be ecologically friendly, and we've got to go with where our passions are as well, which is sport. But in the US, those relationships are still growing. The country is massive. So if I spent a crazy amount of money on an MLS team, for example, that might hit regionally, but would it have the effect globally or nationally? So we have to be really careful with every penny because of how close to the margin line we are in how we sell our watches.
I know that you're a big Aston Villa fan. Do
I
you kind
am.
of push the executives to do a partnership with them?
They have already completely banned me from talking about Aston Villa because of how much I love that club. But I can't see there being any more Premier League clubs. We do get asked by many sports teams around the world, which is a wonderful compliment. But no, I think we'll stick with where we are right now. There's some wonderful plans for Everton in the coming years with their new stadium and the ambitions of the new ownership. So we'll see where that goes now, and then we'll go from there. I'll just love Villa from my side and abuse Mike France on every weekly phone call.
Maybe Mike, I will have a kind of a biased opinion, but I think Christopher Ward should collaborate with Galatasaray as well, which is my team. It's another, global brand. I think there can be a good synergy.
Let's see that. Let's get the Turkish league going. You never know. The fan base would definitely be loving it. That's for sure.
Mike, one question for anyone that wants to purchase, their first Christopher Ward watch. Which one would you recommend?
Oh, there's two answers to that one. If you are brand new to watches, for me, when you're looking into getting into mechanical, there's Seiko and Citizen, and after that, there's a very tough jump to get into real mechanical watches. So for me, at entry price points in terms of mechanical, in terms of Swiss mechanical movements, you're looking at our Trident or our Sealander ranges. They're around $1,000 US, and that's where you get everything that's beautiful about Christopher Ward. You get that light catcher case. You get all of the wonderful applied markers and numerals. The movements are all chronometer rated, and you get some really good case sizes, so you can get into the sizing that suits you. Plus, there are some wonderful colors in there to suit your palette. If someone walks up to me and says, "What's the watch in the collection that suits everything I'm doing, be it sporty or if I want to throw on a jacket?" I can't help but look at the 12 and say that you're never ever going to go wrong with the 12 in steel or titanium. I own the titanium version. I've never worn or liked a titanium watch, but my God, those dials are pretty spectacular, and the way that it's finished on the bracelets is pretty superb.
Actually, Mike, when I met you in Toronto, you were wearing the bronze version. Currently, during this interview, which version are you wearing right now?
I do love my bronze. That's kind of my jeans and t-shirt kind of thing. But I just bought the old C60 Anthropocene. It's a GMT. This is a model that's no longer made by Christopher Ward, and it says Christopher Ward on the dial. So I thought, after a year of being with the brand, look into its recent past and find something that was part of it, and I've loved it. So I'm just a watch collector, just like many of your viewers and people that love the industry. So I'll always be on the hunt for some old school Christopher Ward watches for sure.
Do you have kind of like some final words for the watch enthusiasts, or I would say new beginning watch collectors, how they can start, and do you have any kind of guidance for them?
Well, I'll say for the general watch world, I'm a big believer that, open yourself up to every opinion, but always make your own decision. There's no right or wrong with size, with color, with mechanics, with price. You do you. I'm a big believer in that. So find the watch or the story or the whole facets of what makes watch collecting great about you, and not what everybody else should be thinking you're wearing. I really believe that. With Christopher Ward, have some trust. We've got a 60-day money back guarantee. So if you do buy a watch and you don't like it, don't worry. You can take it back. And if you are worried about a watch brand that's only available to buy online, we do have a 5-year warranty. So have some trust in that side as well. We've got you. But if there are any questions, we're a very, very accessible company. You can DM us on all of our social medias. And in fact, if you're in North America, Canada, or the US, you can reach out to me at Mike Pearson 6, or email me at michael.pearson@christopherward.com. I will always reply to you. And that's for good or for bad. We're just here to make sure people understand what Christopher Ward really is.
Mike, thank you so much. You took us through that journey of Christopher Ward. It's a really great brand, and the journey you are taking, it's like really exciting. Thank you so much for all those insights and being with us today.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Congratulations on the channel, and we hope to see you in Toronto really soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. If you'd like to learn more about Christopher Ward and their incredible timepieces, be sure to visit their website and follow them on social media. If you like this video, don't forget to give a thumbs up and share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more engaging interviews and content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.